Welcome. Thank you for tuning Into the Mind of Music. I'm excited to have a wonderful guitarist, music educator, writer, and most of all, entertainer. Please welcome Mr. Bob Denson. All right, welcome to Into the Mind of Music. I'm here with my buddy Bob Denson. Man, you're in a lot of projects. I was looking on your website, and
It's true, I
I
am.
think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and that doesn't include the solo project.
Right, yeah. Which
All
is
right, so
the most active of all of them.
yeah.
Uh,
All right, so let's start at the top with the one that I have here. Bob Denson's Greens. What do you do in that? It sounds
well,
interesting, but I can't tell what you do by the name.
so for those who would like to follow along, you could go to bobdenson.com and click on press kit, and that there's an explanation of all this stuff with pictures and videos and all types of fun stuff. But Bob Denson's Greens is my Irish band, and that is an offshoot. The title, at least, is an offshoot of my main band, which is Bob Denson's Blues. And the story is that I've played Irish music for 10 or 15 years. I am half Irish, but really I'm just a guy from New Jersey. But you know what I mean. I do have the heritage, so to speak, on my dad's side is entirely Irish. So, but that being said, I didn't grow up with this music. I discovered it later on when somebody called me and said, "Hey, do you play Irish music?" And I said, "How much does it pay?" And they told me a high number, and I said, "Yes, yes, yes, I do play Irish music."
I play Irish music for
and then
sure.
and it
And
was in
then
like,
you learn some Irish music.
yeah, and then that was in like January, and so I had a couple months, and I just dove right into this stuff, and I fell in love with it. I absolutely love it now.
Oh
Like, I
yeah.
love Irish music, man. It is so good. But yeah, Bob Denson's Greens, that title came around because I was just calling it like, oh, it's me and I play Irish music, and then I offered it as a duo or as a trio, and somebody hired the trio, and they said, "So what's the name of the band?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah,
Oh
right."
yeah. We have
And
to have a
I'm on the
name.
phone with them, and I'm closing this deal, and I was just like, Bob Denson's Greens. Yeah, Bob Denson's Greens, and that was it, because I already had Bob Denson's Blues, so now it's like a
Right.
brand, you know. So that's how that came around,
Bob
and
Denson's Greens because
yeah,
you're
and
making the greens.
well, I don't know about that. Yeah,
No.
but we certainly try. Another fun story about that project is that I got hired. Somebody had double booked themselves, and the guy called me, a musician, like frantic, like, "Oh man, can you cover for me doing Irish stuff at this spot on St. Patty's?" And I said, "Sure, absolutely." So I called and we set it up, and at the very end of the conversation, the manager or whatever was like, "By the way, we don't want it like traditional, we want it like punk rock, like, Dropkick Murphys, the
Oh wow.
Pogues, that kind of thing. And can you do that?" And I was, yes, absolutely. I had never played these songs anything but the traditional acoustic with like a fiddle and an upright bass, a penny whistle, stuff like that.
Right.
And so I just hired the best drummer I knew, and he was available somehow. And we just went there and completely winged it, just turned the distortion all the way up, and just, oh, it was so much fun. It was one of the most fun gigs because it
Wow.
was completely unrehearsed, and we just went in and just shredded it, and there's so much energy in that music, and it translates so well to the genre of like just punk rock. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can definitely see that. That's for sure. And the
Uh,
melodies are fantastic.
oh,
I mean, the
so
melodies are,
catchy.
and they're tough to play. They're not. you know, some of them are pretty tough to play.
Oh yeah, very
Yeah,
extensive use of major pentatonics, just all up and down, and like like the melodies, like this wide. Some of them, like it's got notes like this in it, and then you got a wail like high notes a little later in the same song. They're not just like na 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 na. It's they're all over for sure.
yeah. Well, I've seen you in your solo show do the vocal harmony overdub thing, and
Oh
that was fantastic, man. I enjoyed that. That was really good. All right,
yeah.
so let's move on. Okay, Jerry Gantz band. That's where I met you, my friend. That's
Yeah, I
the
think
first
it is.
time we met.
Right, right. I think so. Where were we playing? I'm trying to remember now.
We were playing for my good friend Jim Muso's 60th birthday party
Yeah, that was it. Jimmy Nuzzo's party.
in Highland Park.
Right, at that spot that isn't there anymore.
That's not there anymore, man. It's
Right.
been
Yeah.
a few different things, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a tough business, that's for sure. But
Yeah, and I don't know how that came about. I think Jim Muso knows Jerry. Jerry called me, and then I went down to his garage. Remember his garage?
oh, it's such a great spot. I keep telling him he needs to rent that out as like a rehearsal space because
Oh yeah,
oh man, that
it's
is
golden, right?
and the location is forget about it. He's sitting on a gold mine, Jerry.
So anyway, this guy comes in with his guitar and sits down. And I'm like, yeah, okay, but man, he started to play. I was like, oh, thank goodness. This guy's a great musician.
Thanks, John.
So with that thing, talk about that thing a little bit. You're the music director, obviously, with that
Right.
musician, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So the story behind that project is that well, Angelo Mancuso
A
is
very good
it,
bass player,
a
and
very good
I've
player.
known Angelo for quite a while, man. He's real solid.
In oh yeah, indeed, you two have
He's rock
gone.
solid. He
He
really
is such an amazing musician, and he's such an amazing person. He's even better as a person, and he's a fantastic
I've
musician.
talked to him a few times, and he's always been a sweet guy.
Yeah, well, at some point, I'll tell the whole story of how I met
Okay,
him. But
okay.
coming out of that is Jerry, right? So
Jerry, right.
Angelo owns Edison Millwork and Hardware at 8 Old Post Road in Edison, New Jersey. Go get your hardware and your flowers today.
Right.
That's right.
I'll tell you, my father and I, back in the day, there was none of these Home Depots and none of these
right.
Lowe's or anything. And I'll tell you, I used to go there all the time. I still go there all the time. And if you want real quality stuff, you go there. You don't go to like Lowe's.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm right.
Anyway, not that Lowe's
Yeah.
isn't good. I love Lowe's. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Well,
I love everybody. But yeah, he's a good friend of mine. So let's promote his
there you
place.
go. Yeah, let's definitely promote our friend. And yeah,
Yeah,
no, the customer service is exceptional. Trust me.
yeah,
But
right,
anyway, the point
right,
is that Angelo, apart from doing the store and the flowers and any number of deliveries and things, he also does actual construction on people's houses and other things like commercial things and stuff. And so he was on a job, and Jerry Gans is a mason. He owns Gans Masonry. If you need any masonry work, you need
masonry.
your patio done or something, let me know. No.
Yes,
And
we know. Both
the
of
point
us
is,
know
yeah,
how to get in touch with Jerry Gantz. He has a
yeah.
big
Well, you
company
could
too.
add some links. So when you drop this,
There
you
you go.
put it
Yeah,
in the description.
yeah.
But
He's not a small company. He's a big company.
no.
He does the
He's
jobs. Yeah,
oh yeah, no, he's got some high profile clients and all sorts of stuff. But you would
yeah,
never know anything talking to him. He's the most down to earth, humble,
Oh
just
yeah.
the nicest guy. He, both of those people are the type of, there's a category of person, and they are people who you would trust in a room full of uncounted cash.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Angelo and Jerry are those kind of people, and I mean,
Absolutely.
for sure. But so they met at a job site with their respective businesses, and Jerry had heard about Angelo and had a CD that, because he's friends with Jimmy Nuzzo, Jerry is, as also and Angelo separately.
Right.
And so I believe the story is Jimmy had, crafted like a karaoke CD basically, and Jerry sang over it, and then kind of slapped it into the disc drive in the work band and told Angelo, "Look, tell me how bad this is." And because I know you're a musician, I'm trying to sing, he goes, all right. So they put it on. And Angelo told me, he's like, I'm there like expecting the worst. And all of a sudden, this
Yeah.
guy's voice comes. I'm like, oh my God. Like he doesn't sound like Frank Sinatra. He doesn't sound like Elvis. He sounds like he's doing his thing, but like in that era, like he could have been standing right next to any of them. Right, and I was like, wow. And yeah, in the beginning, Jerry didn't even know 1, 2, 3, 4, go. Like he didn't
Oh
even know
yeah.
that. Like he just had to go like that to him, and like stuff like that. He didn't
Jump
know.
in, man. Jump in.
Yeah, so I've definitely been like a musical mentor. So is Angelo, for him,
Yeah. Hmm.
But he's got so much talent, man, and he's just the nicest guy. And we've written whole songs. I'll just check my phone and I'll have a voicemail, and it'll be, "Hey, Bobby, I was just in the shower and I was thinking of this melody. Could you maybe figure out some chords?" And then he'll sing Karen, Karen, like that's an actual song.
Yeah.
He sang that exact way to me, and I was like, I know those chords, and I just wrote the song, basically. But it was all from his
Mhm.
idea, So yeah, he's great to collaborate with. He's very easy to work with. You've worked with so many people under the sun, I'm sure. Like, that it's not about really how killing of a musician you are. It's about, are you going to show up on time? Are you going to be reliable? All of those type of things. Are you a professional? You know what I mean?
Is your heart really
Is
in
your
it?
heart really in it? Yeah,
Do you really love it, or are you just?
exactly. Are you just here to try to, I don't know, pay some bills? If you're a musician
Yeah.
to try
No.
to pay bills and not for the love of it, you are in the wrong. You are in the wrong
Yeah.
profession, my friend.
Yeah.
Go be a
Definitely.
stockbroker or
Definitely in the
something,
wrong.
But yeah. That's the story of Jerry. And yeah, I am kind of like the musical director, as far as like I write all the charts out, and I do everything for like collaborating with writing and stuff. But that's not to say there haven't been plenty of times Angelo standing there and we figure something out. It's kind of like the three of us, and then we hire a drummer. And in any of these projects, we don't really have a set drummer, just because it's more fun, quite frankly, just to change people. We have some people, who, you know, our favorites or our current favorites, or people we call a lot, and sometimes we'll call, how it goes, in ebbs and it flows. Right now, and for the past I don't know, year or so, it's been Raul Diaz Cobo, who is a fantastic drummer and a fantastic guy. And yeah, so he's basically the de facto drummer for Jerry's project, as well as the blues project. Excuse me. But
So that's cool. But it's cool to have different grooves back there, especially a drummer, because drummers have, you know every drummer is different. Every drummer has a different feel, just like every other musician. But
yeah,
sometimes it's cool to have like a guy that hits real hard one night, or or doesn't. You know.
Yeah, the feel changes
Yeah,
so much from drummer to drummer. Yeah,
and it
it's
makes you play differently, I think.
it really does. No, yeah,
You
because
know.
that the central tenet of Bob Denson's blues and just me in general is that I'm not trying to play the song the right way. Like I'm not interested in playing anything ever note for note. I'm interested in playing the song different every time, if possible. That's what I'm aiming for. I don't want it to be a carbon copy of the last time I played it. I'm purposely trying to change it, and in as many ways as I can, just to keep it fresh and interesting for me. And the line that Angelo always says about this is he says, we're not playing songs, we're making music. And that's the way he distinguishes it. If you're feeling like, oh, I'm going to do verse, chorus, verse, solo that night, or maybe you're feeling verse, solo, chorus, solo, because you're just feeling the solo, the tone is right tonight, the band is in, whatever it is. The point is that you have professional musicians who are staring at you the whole time. You're always communicating visually. And so at any time you could take a left turn or a right turn or anything like that, and just, have some fun, play some music. Who can, the song, is a secondary thing almost. It's more about the feel and the groove and what's happening right now, not about what you practiced on Sunday. And that's the other thing, is we never practice any of these projects. We don't. We go and we play music at a show, because the whole thing is like, I'm sure you've experienced this. One time, in particular, Angelo and I and this drummer who is a hobbyist, fantastic guy, but we played the same song. We played Spooky at Angelo's house. Love is kind of crazy with a spooky little girl like you. A great song, and that is so good, and there's hits and stuff in that song, and then there's like a double hit, and then it goes up a half second, and Angelo and I is like, okay, but we were trying to practice it with this drummer, and we had to play it for like 3 hours, man, and it was like, oh my God, this sucked all the soul and life out of everything. It was not having any fun. Nobody was enjoying themselves. And then guess what? We went and we played the show, and the drummer messed it up.
Oh.
So
there you go.
It didn't make any difference.
So
it's I think the crowd can feel when something is fresh and you're doing something for the first time and you don't know what's about to happen either. We're all doing this together. I think that's a lot more interesting.
Yeah, for sure. That's like when I'm doing an improvisation, like a solo on a tune. Like I'll do 2 takes, and either the first one or the second one is always the one that you wind up taking.
Yeah.
And if you do like 10 takes or whatever, and you're still going back to like the first couple. So
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
yeah. So that's that's the whole freshness of it. You start thinking more. You start going, well, maybe I should add this bone. Maybe I should add this.
Yes.
Maybe I should do that. And then you go,
do
oh
it.
man, that sounds like shit. And you go back to the second one and you go, yeah, this is.
Yeah, and meanwhile, you just did a half hour of continuous takes, and you should have just kept the second one you did. It took a minute, Yeah. That, so true, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I saw you tonight with Bob Denson Blues at in South Amboy at the Help Me Out.
Oh, at the Blue Moon?
The Blue Moon.
The Blue Moon, yeah.
Yeah. And man, you were rocking it, man. I mean, you were up there singing your heart out, man, sweating like freaking Bruce Springsteen up there, man. I'm like watching you and I'm going, man, this cat is an entertainer too. I mean,
Thank
the thing we did
you.
with Jerry, that was like a jazz thing, man. Like you came in and you were
Yes,
playing real jazzy and real
right.
nice, and you
Hmm.
were laid back and playing that thing. And then when I saw you at the Blue Moon, I was like, whoa,
Hmm.
this is different.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. With Jerry, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's this is going to be a bizarre analogy, but with Jerry, you're trying to, the phrase that we use when someone is playing awesome, right, is they're killing, right? It's
Killing
one of the phrases, right? So if
it.
if if I'm killing both ways, or let's say that's what you're trying to do, at least you're trying to be awesome, you're trying to be good. Jerry, it's more like a stealthy thing. I'm like, I sneak into the fancy dinner with like a knife under my jacket and kind of come in, and then like I'm out like holding a tray and I'm out through the kitchen, or something. It's very much more. It's like yeah, it's more
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
I am not the focus in any way. I'm just a guy who comes in.
right.
You know what I mean? That's it. You know what I mean? This is Jerry's show. It's his band.
Yeah.
And then with Bob Denson's blues, that is the equivalent for me of the Wild West. The guy's got the boots on with the spinny horsey thing,
There
whatever
you
on the
go.
boots,
Yeah.
and he kicks open those double doors with both pistols and just starts lighting people up. That's the whole thing. Is I want to come out and just smash you in the head as hard as I possibly can.
Wow.
Yeah, it's blues, but I want it to have the energy of like punk rock and like that kind of just like, it needs to be boiling and simmering at all times. You
Well,
know.
you were. I'll tell you what. I was
Thanks.
watching. I mean, you were. I was like, man, this is not the same guy. This is like an alter ego of the guy that I
Thank
met.
you. Well, that's what I'm trying to
You know.
do, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And I
It's a
thank you
beautiful thing.
also.
It's a beautiful thing too to watch.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and I very much appreciate you saying that I'm an entertainer, because that's what I'm trying to do when I'm on stage. Being a musician is one thing. Being an entertainer is something else. There's plenty of people, like a great example of that, and one of my huge influences is Roy Roy Buchanan. Excuse me. Roy is or was
Well,
just a stone face guitarist, insane guitar player, so much soul, so much vibe, his tone. I mean, that's why I play that Telecaster. And I'd like to get into that whole thing, my equipment and stuff. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we'll
We'll
talk about
get into that.
yeah, yeah. But so point is, oh, what was I just saying? Jesus, what was I just talking about? I lost it. I thought
You
about
know,
my equipment and I lost it. What was I talking about?
there you go. You're talking about Roy Buchanan and
Oh
his
yeah,
beautiful tone and
yeah.
how, but really
But
he just stood there, man.
when
Like,
when you watch him, he was literally a statue. Like
yeah,
he would grind his jaw back and forth when he
maybe he
really
was
got
doing
cooking.
coke.
That was it. Who
Maybe,
knows?
maybe he
Who
was high
knows?
on coke, grinding his
I
teeth
don't know.
like that. You
He
don't
was
know.
really cooking.
Yeah,
He would do that. That's about it, though.
yeah.
Meanwhile,
He
like
was into
his
it.
guitar, if the guitar's tone could be anthropomorphized into, a creature, it's like this either like weeping beautiful woman or something, or this giant like ferocious animal, or something. But meanwhile, he's just like, you would have no clue just looking at him. And then you have Hendrix on the other side of that, who's just flamboyant gestures and the clothing and the
Yeah, the whole
articulation and
clothes
the way
thing.
he sang, the whole thing, man. He was a
Yeah, the
showman. He
lighting
was
the
an entertainer.
guitar on fire. I
Oh
mean, come
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. But he was an
Ridiculous.
entertainer. You know what I'm saying? And that makes it interesting just to look at. And so I'm really trying always when I'm on stage to be an entertainer and to be engaging with the audience and to keep their attention, and be dynamic somehow.
Yeah, and I noticed that because I was forced into that. Like at first I wanted to be the guy that just stood there in the background, but my friend had an older sister, and she taught me how to dance a long time ago. And she used to hang in New Brunswick, so when I was
Sure.
a little kid, so she taught me how to dance, and her brother wound up becoming a choreographer for this band I was in. We did an Earth, Wind, and Fire show. I'll try to make this short.
Mm.
But yeah, we had choreography and everything, and we had the outfits,
Wow. The whole thing,
and I
huh?
look back at the pictures, and they're so freaking funny, dude. I'm telling you about it. They are so funny. There's one picture I look like I'm the Tin Man. I got the silver jumpsuit on with like this tie around my neck. I'm playing this place in
Amazing.
Pennsylvania.
Oh, it's amazing. I
The
need to
first thing
see.
this girl says to me is, "Are you bi?" I was like, "Bi? What is that? What is bi?"
I'm not
I
buying
didn't even
anything.
know what it was.
I'm not here to buy anything. What are you
I
talking
was
about?
16 years old. I didn't know. I didn't know what the hell she was talking
Oh,
about.
that is
I
great.
couldn't even drink. I had an ABC card.
That's really
Anyway,
funny.
let's get back
You
to
had an
music.
ABC car. Wow.
Yeah,
Now that
yeah,
now that's a throwback. That.
yeah. So I have one more thing to ask you about, and that's Farrington Sound. That's a duo,
Right.
and
Yeah.
are you still doing that, or that's kind of
Yeah,
like,
yeah, we do that, and yeah. So the Farrington Sound originally was actually a full band, and it was a classic rock cover band,
oh, okay.
and that was like 10 years ago, or,
Oh,
or something. We did it for a few years, not very heavy, and then for whatever reason, life moved on, and then I started teaching privately and teaching in public schools. Well, I had been teaching privately since I was 14. Something else I could talk
wow.
about, but I refocused on the public school teaching. I'm a public school music teacher, and the private stuff. And then after a while of that, started to play again, and Angelo and I got some calls for duo shows, and I immediately said, well, how's me and a bassist? And they said, sure. And I said, okay, me and Angelo. And then so then we decided, because Bob Denson's blues was now a thing, and Farrington Sound as a band was no more, that we took that name. And the idea is that Angelo came up with that name, and he lives on Farrington Lake in East
Okay.
Brunswick. His property butts up to that. I grew up like a half of a block from Farrington Lake. I could see the lake from my upstairs bathroom window growing up. And so Farrington Sound, a little play on words there. So,
There you go.
and
Farrington Lake, and it's cool over there. A friend of mine used to have a property there,
oh
and
yeah,
he used to
gorgeous.
have. I mean, it was a big property. He used to have Jeff stock every year, and he'd have like 5 bands. He'd build like a stage on the
Wow.
property and have camp out over the weekend. It was a big property,
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
and
There's
it's beautiful there.
it is, it is. I have, as you might imagine, I grew up right there. I have explored so much of those trails and those woods and the parks and everything that's over there. It really is fantastically nice. I love it over there. I often think it's like, if only, like, when people thought of New Jersey, they thought of this instead of
Yeah.
Exit 14A. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know. It's such a shame.
It's frustrating, but hey, whatever. It's our secret, I guess. Places
Yeah, I
split up
mean, you
anyway,
have that
right?
little piece of paradise right there by everything
Beautiful,
else. You know
beautiful,
what I mean, too. But there are some beautiful places in New Jersey that people just can't imagine.
for sure, dude.
You know, I mean, we have the horse park in New Jersey where people like ride horses all around this big park. And,
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, it's
there
beautiful. We
there are
have
horse farms
stables
a mile from where I grew up. You know.
and then there's the shore, the beach, and all
Oh
that kind
yeah,
of stuff.
yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah, as you may or may not be able to tell, I am not entirely friends with direct sunlight. Yeah, I see.
I'm red. I have a motorcycle tan.
Yeah, you
That's my
definitely do.
motorcycle tan from holding my arms like this.
Right, like that. Yeah,
Yeah, so just like right here gets burnt, you know.
that's funny, man. Yeah, and actually, there is, as you can see by my hand, there is a light right here that is a white light. So I'm
Yeah,
not this white
yeah.
necessarily, but I'm pretty close.
Don't forget the live performance at the end of this video. And I will have the link for bobdenson.com in the description of this video. Now back to our normally scheduled program.
Well, I'm digging your setup over there. I'm really digging the lights, and
Thanks, man.
it's like super professional. That I was looking forward to this, especially because I saw your live show, solo show. But
Yeah, yeah.
let's talk about equipment later. Your
Talk
solo
about
show,
whatever you want.
you do all kinds of things with a looper, and
Yeah,
I'm
I do.
always enthralled with that because I love to use it for practicing and for playing chords and then a bass line and a melody, and I do it
Sure.
all on the bass, and I love that kind of stuff. And you have it, you probably have a really good looper down there. I won't give.
I
Hey
do. I
Bob, you
do
got
have
a
a
good
bass.
looper down there, Bob?
I do. I have the Boss RC300, and I'm soon going to be using a modded Boss RC505. Actually, I've that's in the works.
Is
Uh,
that a smaller one? Is it less
no,
expensive? Could I afford one? Probably
it's
not.
it's it's a it's $500.
Yeah, no, I can't afford it.
Well, I mean,
But
you could look at it this way. You could
I'm
either
using $120 electro harmonic,
yeah, right, sure. Yeah, no, it's
and it
me.
sounds great and it works great, and for the money, it's great. I love electro harmonic stuff,
Yeah,
but
no, their stuff is
um,
nice.
but it's not inexpensive.
Yeah, well, this thing, you could you could be the whole band on this thing. You could do so much. And the RC505, although it's made for tabletop, you have to purchase a secondary thing and program it to talk to it. That you could actually leave that looper up, say here, and then have the MIDI foot controller on the
Oh,
floor. But yeah, no, it gets outrageously complicated.
so
But
you're gonna use the two in conjunction,
no,
no?
I might not, because there's some issues with MIDI sync and functionality and stuff. Well, as far as using the RC300 with the RC505, that's what I'm answering. But I just realized you were probably asking the RC505 connects to this other thing that I don't have yet, that is a MIDI foot controller that will operate that 505 but from the floor instead.
Right, I got you.
Yeah, so like I'm programming
Yes,
it to be that
it's a
pedal
MIDI
basically.
pedal. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
but no, I've been looping since 2005 or so, and it is fantastic because I mean something that I is like just a personal mantra is I always want to be existing at the edges of what it is I'm capable of. I'm not really comfortable being just like chilling in the middle because to me like that stagnation is like a deadly thing for me. I need to always be pressing the edges. I always need to be improving myself or trying to, or at least being involved in various projects. And I'm very ADHD, so as we just detailed, I always have a bunch of things going on. I got those 4 is it projects, and then you know, a whole lot else besides. But that
Well,
is
music is
true.
beautiful, man. I mean, why not, man? Do
Exactly.
everything you can do.
That's
Right?
what I'm saying. You know, it's like, you know, if you love ice cream, why not try all the flavors, baby? You know, like, come on now. You know,
That's for sure.
you
That's
know,
for
and
sure.
so, but this whole looping thing, you know, I started to play a lot of solo shows, and I still do, and it gets really boring just standing there playing rhythm guitar. You know, and so I said, well, okay, I'm going to get a looper. I'll record the verse part, and then when it's time to solo, I'll step on it and I'll take a solo. Then when it's time to stop, I'll hit stop and I'll start to play rhythm again.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how
Yeah.
it started. And now it's just gone on to like,
I,
okay, I have the drums, the bass, rhythm guitar, electric guitar, 4-part harmony, shakers. Yeah, you know, it just like goes on and on and on. You know, I'm trying to add as much as I can within reason. That's the other thing, is that I'm desperately trying to make it organic. You know what I mean? Because there are a lot of people who it sounds like a bit too computery and like overdone, and I'm trying to make it so it seems, you know, natural and real, you know, and
yeah. Yeah.
since
It's
this
it's like getting a karaoke track as a pair as compared to doing the track yourself and just putting basic things down, like a good drums, a good
right.
bass, and then maybe one keyboard. Especially for live. Otherwise it starts to sound like you're playing to a karaoke track.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. You want it to sound like you're playing along to actual live music, not like
Yeah,
you're playing along to a karaoke track. Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, and it's interesting, you know, over the years I've gotten a lot of different you know, feedback about the whole process. Some people love it and some people absolutely hate it. Like I've had some like club owners and stuff, like
hmm
particularly if you loop your voice. Because like for example, I will record myself singing the hook or like the chorus of a song so that the next time it comes around I could play that the melody and record over that a harmony. And so people will see me doing that, and like they always the same phrase, "You're cheating." You know, that's not live music. I'm like, well, you just saw me
You
record
just
that like
saw me do
seconds
it.
ago, right? Like, yeah, like the whole point is that I'm creating this now as I'm playing it. Like that's my whole shtick. Is that like yeah, like it is possible on these things. There's 100 banks on this, or 99. There, it is possible to go in and like save up a whole song and
Right,
leave your guitar at home and just
right,
come and sing. You know,
right.
but that's not what I'm doing. There's never anything at all ever, you know, previously on there. But you know, it's frustrating because it's decently common. People like just think you're cheating for some reason, and I'm like, and like I didn't really ever get that until I started to loop the vocals also, and that was the part that really sent it over the edge for some people. It was
Right.
interesting. It's bizarre, you know.
That's because what do the ordinary average listener listen to? They don't care about the music. They just care about the lyrics and the voice and the. So when they start hearing
Yeah,
something like that, then they start going, "Oh, he's cheating," But
yeah,
all the
you know,
musicians know, and like I know, I go, "Oh shit, man." I
yeah,
want
it's
to get. I want to give a shout out to a guy though. His name is Keller Williams. Do
oh,
you know who he is?
Keller is fantastic.
You
Yes,
know who
I know
Keller is?
all about Keller. Yeah.
Okay, so you know all about
Oh yeah.
Keller.
Oh yeah.
If you guys don't know about Keller, when he when I saw him play, and he had all plays guitar, he does all these different weird tunings, and he does his voice,
Oh
and
yeah.
he has the looper, and he does the whole thing, and he does
A
all these
custom
songs,
looper.
and he absolutely amazed me. So when I saw you the other night doing uh, the looper thing and doing that and everything, I'm like, wow, man, it's really, it's really great. I was turned on to that from that kind of thing.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, Keller is fantastic. I've seen him live a few times, and I've been listening to him for years. Yeah, and yeah, his whole thing is just so. Oh my gosh, I would love to have that guy set up. He's just, in essence, for those who don't know, you go see the man live, and he's got an entire stage just stacked to the brim with instruments, all types of things: guitars, basses, drums, all types of shakers, and various assorted percussion, keyboards of all types. It goes on and on and on and on and on.
Yes,
And
and he
all
does
of
it all live.
yeah, and all of them are connected to a central hub, and that thing is connected wirelessly to a foot pedal that is custom. And I think he might be running Ableton. I'm not sure how he's looping, because there's a bunch of different ways to do this. But it seems to be software. It's not hardware like what I'm up to. And yeah, there's all different. Yeah, you start to nerd out on this stuff after a while.
Yeah,
But
I know.
yeah,
I
and
gotcha.
so, but he has this little thing, it's not as small as this remote, but imagine. And, he sits down at the keyboard, he puts it on the floor, and he steps on it, and he plays a little keyboard, and he steps on it again, it's stopped, it's saved in there. And he goes over to the other part of the stage, put the wireless controller down, plays the upright bass, steps on it, and walks over there. And it's fantastic.
It's
But
insane, yeah.
yeah,
Like you're insane too. So let's leave it. That that leads me into. Can I put you on the spot? Is your stuff hooked up? Can you play
what,
a song?
to play something? Yeah.
Like I'm totally. I don't know if I'm breaking the law of podcasts by having a song played, but let's
Oh, you're not
forge some
breaking
new
the law.
ground, brother. Let's forge some new ground.
Should we? Let's do it.
Come
Let's
on,
do it, man. All right, sure.
something. Oh, you
What?
have to do something that original. Like even if you just make it up on the spot, it doesn't matter
Here.
if you have to do
No,
things.
I'll play a song that I wrote for my Bob Denson's blues project. So yeah, I have a whole lot of stuff, like singer-songwriter stuff. I probably have like 2 albums worth of stuff that like probably 5 people on the planet know. And
Like
I never
that I could throw
recorded
up in
any
the
of
air.
it. But so that's all from like an earlier era of my life. And I have some separate songs that I'm in the process of writing a whole album for Bob Denson's blues. I got about half an album. I got like 6 songs or so now for that project. But I'll play you the title track. This guy here. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you do.
So yeah, just imagine this with the whole band and then electric guitar.
There you go. And electric.
Not exactly the same setup here.
We're calling on your imagination, folks.
That's right. Or just go to YouTube and type in Bob Denson music. And I got a YouTube channel that's got all types of stuff of the band up there.
Yeah, definitely go check out.
Was that you or me?
BobDenson.com. What, the buzz?
The band. Yeah, did you just get a text?
I don't know. I do the social media stuff and and I'm always getting these alerts and all of that
Yeah,
stuff.
you could turn all that off. But yeah,
I know. I'm still learning, brother.
Me too.
What I mean? I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just having fun here with musicians that are my friends and that I think are exceptional.
So here, I'm gonna try something here. Let's see here. Yeah, let's try this. So talking about looping and stuff. So
are you gonna use some of that on this?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh,
definitely.
cool.
I always play with my looper. Yeah, and
Yeah,
so
me too.
yeah. And so also I have, for those of you who have headphones or speakers, you'll hear I have an octaver on the low end. And I love that, baby. So nice. But when Angelo and I played duo shows, I turn it off because he's like, "You put me out of a job here, Bobby."
Yeah, like stay out of our zone, man.
Exactly.
I'm a bass player too. Like turn that shit off when I'm playing, all right?
Exactly. So here, let me get my settings together. There you go. So I'm gonna try to play this song in a way I never have. This is
that's how you are. That's how you roll.
This is the way I do it. So what I'm doing, this is a recent thing. I completely changed the way that I format.
No problem with the guitar. Sounds great.
Stuff.
And
yeah, and so what I Check-O-Rama here. I'm just that I loops of different my levels. So I'm gonna start Waka Waka by just recording a single measure of the drums I'm actually going to play. And then I'll start the actual song, and those rhythm parts will be long. So that whole and so here we go. Different lengths, and they're synced. Let's see here. Yeah, I get to be like a drummer, but a keyboard player. It's so bizarre. It's so weird, man. It's so weird. But hey, I'm challenging myself. It's supposed to be fun. So here we go. Let's do like a. Suiting up, baby, for Saturday night, checking out your style. I get it looking right. I go tripping down them streets in a fast brigade, standing in the shadow of the downtown promenade, singing, whose blues is it? Whose blues is it? Singing, whose is it? Oh, baby, Bob Denson's blues, man. Whose blues is it? It's just a good time, rock and roll, funky blues and soul. Singing, whose blues is it? Cell phone, wallet, car keys, and a big fat grin, but knowing full well of the trouble I've been getting in. My man knows my name, babe, so come here and join the crowd. Body gets to grooving, girl, you know there ain't no stopping us now. Singing, whose blues is it? Whose blues is it? Yeah. Singing, whose blues is it? Oh, baby, Bob Denson's blues, baby. Whose is it? Well, it's a good time, rock and roll, funky blues and soul. Singing, whose blues is it? Oh, baby, Bob Denson.
Ah, yeah.
There it goes, another screaming electric guitar. I'm sweating, man, I'm standing. Ain't no room at the bar. Give me something good, or could you hit me just like this? Bring it back just one more time, man. You know I can't resist. Singing, Whose blues is it? Whose blues is it, child? Whose blues is it? Oh, baby, Bob Denson's blues, baby. Whose is it? It's just a good time, rock and roll. Funky blues and soul, singing. Whose blues is it? I'll bring it back just one more time, man. Whose blues is it? Whose blues is it? Whose blues is it? Whose is it, baby? It's just a good time, rock and roll. Funky blues and soul, singing. Whose blues is it? It's just a good time, rock and roll. Funky blues and soul, singing. Whose blues is it?
Yeah.
Oh, baby, Bob Denson's blues. Everybody, watch. I'll use my looper to create an audience. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Watch. Oh man, the things I do in my spare time, man.
That's fantastic.
You can have so much fun with these loopers, man. I'm telling you.
Thank you for tuning in to Into the Mind of Music. Stay tuned for Bob Denson Part 2 on Wednesday, and we'll have another performance by him. Don't forget to click on my picture at the end of this video and subscribe so that you can check out all my latest podcasts. Until then, peace, love, and music for all.